Just building basic trust so you could talk to each other. I mean, just more so that. Okay. And what's your CVV number? The three-digit code. And what's your expiration date? All right. Thanks a lot, you guys. I'll see you guys around. Okay. Just let me know. Just go to the thing and book an appointment. I got a presentation I got to do, so I just can't right now. But just go to the link and click on and book an appointment. Okay. All right. Nice meeting you both. Gina, come here for a second. Huh? Am I nervous? No. I said, come here, please. Yeah. Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Thank you for logging back in, Louis. Sorry to log you out, but I ran into a little mistake. How are you doing, sir? You can type in hi, anyone. So I have this on two settings. One setting I have it on is in the group. The other setting I have it on, I'll be able to see you and respond to you. So depending on what you want to do, we could go from there. Okay. So I'm just waiting for people. They're logging in. What's up, Charles? How are you doing? I am just going to give us a few moments to let people get here. It is literally 1 after 8. So we're just going to give folks a few minutes to roll in. Everybody out there, if you type of one in the browser, I could see you. I also want to say that if you go to African American Marriage Counseling, the Facebook fan page, the page, I'll be able to see and know that you are in the group and interact with you. Hey Lisa, how are you doing? So you say you're a good sir. That is good to hear. So we're just waiting on folk to get in. Hey Erica, why don't you go to African American Marriage Counseling the fan page? And it says with Dr. Shane and log in on that. And that way I'll know that you're here. So everybody that wants me to be able to respond to them, if you could do that, I would appreciate it. I am going to move over and I guess we'll just start checking in on the homework. So I will start with that. Sure. So we are going to pop right over here. Oh, this is the wrong version. 1 second. Let me get the more recent version in here. There we go. I got both pages. Okay, here we go. So we are going to start by looking at the homework from yesterday. I want people to go to the browser and type in, hey Lisa, how are you doing? Hey Charles, how are you doing? Tell me where you guys are from too. Lisa, where are you from? This is the Cully. Charles, where are you from? Louis, where are you from? Kiki, Jermaine, is there a link to the workbook? Go back to the sign up page and you'll see the link. Go back to where you signed up and you'll see the link. Okay. Paulette, how are you doing? From Connecticut. What part of Connecticut you from, Paulette? I was born in New Haven, actually. Okay, so you're from Baltimore. You're right up the street, Lisa. Charles Lorton from Charles from Lorton, Virginia. Indiana, Kiki. I lived in Kokomo, Indiana for a year. That was the longest year of my life. It was a decade up in Kokomo, and I can't judge your whole state by that, but man, I don't know, Kiki. It's probably cold up there too. Nakisha from Virginia Beach, Jamaica, Queens, New York. I've been to Jamaica, Queens. Columbia, right up the street. Windsor Locks by way of Ohio. Okay. All righty. So all of you all, we are going to check in with the homework. We'll probably do that for about another few moments to get people to get checked in. So if we go to page 1, we will see, you were asked to do a comparison between the marriage you have and the marriage you said I do to. And I'm on the wrong camera. I'm going to get on the right camera today. Hold on 1 second. Let me get on the right camera. So I want you to go to the browser. I am on the right camera. Okay, I'm on the right camera today. And I'm going to position this so I can see you so I have better eye contact than I did yesterday. Anyway, so I want you to go to the workbook. How many of you did the assignments? One of them was asked to compare the marriage between I do versus the marriage I have. Anyone want to comment on that? Type it in the browser. McGraw, you made it back. You made it back. That is good to hear. Any comments on that? Any comments on what skills do you need or have versus the ones you have? What skills do you need? What skills do you need to get? The other question, that was from page 5, was page 12. And I talked about this concept called euphoric and dysphoric content. Euphoric is like, we never thought we would be where we are. And Akeisha, that is most couples. But tell me how you mean it, because I don't know what to say. But I think that's your comments between I do and I have. Marriage, I do and we have. Let me say this. And I don't think you're at divorce rates. I'm not saying it. I'm not calling you out. But they drop as much as 30% with an intervention. So most couples come to see me don't think they would be where they are. But we have a good way of getting them back. And so with the intervention, frequently things do get better. So I talked about a dysphoric and a euphoric recall. I didn't talk about that yesterday, but I will go into further depth of that today, where I talk about negative sentiment override and positive sentiment override. So we will be talking about that. So Nakisha is saying off target, and she's right. It's like most couples say, I do. We are soaring with the eagles. And then we say, boy, how do we get down here some days with the pigeons, the crows, and the buzzards? And that is the gap that we are trying to help you close. And that is what this program was named after. I'm glad you believe in Nakisha, because it is still possible. If you are looking and viewing and I am not responding to you, it's because I can't see you unless you type in a 1. If you type in a 1, you will show up. If you go over to my Facebook page, someone put African American marriage counseling in the link. African American marriage counseling, my Facebook page, put it in the link. Anyways, okay, there we go with the 1s. So we are going to get started. I appreciate all of you for logging back in. We are going to start with our presentation. And let me just switch over here to my, 1 second. Switch over here to my other program, to my PowerPoint. Okay. So we are going to start. We are on day 2, closing the gap. What's up, Larry Gerald? You made it, my friend. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Y'all see his wife, that man overachieved. And I'm just joking. They're my really close friends, really family. Anyways, what I want us to do is I want us to just be present. You are here. We are ready to get started. Today, we are going to talk about closing the gap, GAP, between the marriage you said I do to the marriage you have. The marriage you have. So, we are going to start by talking about a very counterintuitive way of getting your needs met. Everybody thinks, you guys tell me if you're different, everybody thinks getting your needs met is saying your needs louder. Am I wrong about that? Boy, if I say it this way, they'll get it. Maybe I need to say it that way. And then the other person comes in and talks about their needs and we just ignore them. Anyone guilty of that? Type some 1s in the browser if you're guilty of that. Be honest with us here. I should see like a ton of 1s. I should see 1s all over the place. But I don't. Anyways, so if you are guilty of that, let me know. Charles Smith, you are a lone guilty man. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. So my point is this. What we're going to do today is something else. No, you're not wrong. I do get louder. Perfect, right? So years ago, I was painfully shy, and I talked myself into getting a job in sales. And I'm like, oh my God, this isn't going to go well. I did so bad on the initial interview at General Motors, they put me in accounting. Was not outgoing, was not dynamic. Finally, I get some 1s, thank you. And so I got this one book that really changed my life. And the book that I got, it was a tape, I'm sorry. It was Zig Ziglar. And he said, you can get everything in the world you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. Get everything you want, just help enough other people get what they want. Y'all go to the browser, type in a Z. And so I thought about that and I said, okay, I got to take this and make it work. So I accepted. I didn't need to be more dynamic. I needed to be a better listener. And so when the client on the sales call, instead of going into sales, thank you for those Z's, I started asking questions. Well, how long you been in business? Got this business from my father, who got it from his father, who got it from his father, and I'm gonna give it to my son. Like, wow, that's a long time. I said, well, what's your biggest strength? Oh, our customer base. We're about customer service. Here, if you have a complaint, we will return it. We don't care what condition it is. And that's our business philosophy. Went on and on and on and on about his pride in his company and all these things. And it came time for me to sell. And I said, Mr. Customer, our product does this, which will help you with long-term relationships. It does that, which will help you give them the premier customer service. I mean, this really is for blue chip companies only. We don't really work with companies that enter into a quick fix. On and on and on. They had loaded the shotgun for me. All I had to do was fire. So that gave this quote a birth. You can get everything you want if you will just help your spouse get what they want. Go to the browser, write any version of that out. I'm going to let some people in the group, some people are still coming into the group. Write anything you want to say about that, because I think if you could take that away from this session, you could skip everything, never meet with me in life. So give me 1 second while you're doing that. All right, I just let a batch in, so we are good. So I'm back here. Okay, so let me see what you typed in the browser. Dana, Dr. Shane, the link you sent by email text for tonight's session is not working. You may want to post on your Facebook page. Somebody in here, do me a favor. I want you to go to my Facebook page, and there's a link, and it's a link for this event. I'll get you that link separately, right there. That's the link there. Just tell them, just copy this and send it to anybody that wants to join me. But if you could go to my group and post that in there, I'd greatly appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, so let me see what you typed in the browser. That statement is not happening in my marriage. Tammy, that statement isn't happening in a lot of marriages. And let me tell you why. So I talked about this last night. A lot of couples, they get to the point where we get like property rights, right? We got this mule, not trying to insult anyone here, and we want them to pull our cart. In our pocket, we actually have carrots. We could give them the carrots. As sweet as those carrots are, this mule is totally happy. But we don't give it the carrots because we got a stick and we go whack. Because I don't have to give you, I don't have to meet your needs. You're my property. You're my wife. You were my husband. You want to be a good spouse, or you're just a terrible husband. Not, I'm whacking you over the head. And we have to change our approach. And that's what giving is all about, is accepting you can get everything you want if you'll help your spouse get what they want. I've talked to 5,500 couples. I've never found that to be untrue. I know people say, not my spouse, they're a narcissist. Yeah, not a narcissist. Or maybe they are. But you know what percentage of society are narcissists? Very small. Very, very, very small indeed. So if they are a narcissist, boy, that's even the worst news, because they can't fix a narcissist. Anyway, it's just something to think about. I know a lot of you will disagree with me. So we looked at the homework. I want you to go to your workbook. Those of you that have them, look at page 1, page 5, page 12. For today, I want you to mark out page 11, and you'll find what we're talking about in this conversation. page 12, page 13, and page 14. Page 11, 12, 13, and 14. So we're going to jump into the presentation. So, happy couples, unhappy couples. People always ask me, that statement is not. People always ask me, what do happy couples know the rest of us don't? Do they have a secret, special sauce? Yes, they do. And we're going to give you their special sauce right here. And it's called the magic formula. The magic formula. This is what happy couples do. So, happy couples have a ratio of 5 to 1. So, you hear that number 5 to 1. 5 to 1 means that for every negative interaction, there are 5 positive ones. So it's 5 to 1. Couples come to see me are generally almost 1 to 1. They're 0.8 to 1. That means that they're losing over time. They're losing like 20 cents on the dollar, if you want to think of it that way. Couples going through a divorce are 1 to 5. Are 1 to 5. And that's their ratio of positive to negative interactions. Everybody got that? If you got the formula, go to the browser, type in an F. Type in an F. And that is the formula for happy couples. So we're about to talk about this a little further. So that is the formula. Where is it from? So this formula is from Dr. Gottman. Dr. Gottman is the Sigmund Freud of marital psychology. Dr. Gottman is the Sigmund Freud of marital psychology. So I just got a note from someone. Do me a favor. If you got into the group, and many of you have, I want you to go to if you're on this call, go to my page, and under where the event is, just type this link. Type this link to get in, because I got some people that are still trying to get in. But anyways, so 5 to 1 is the magic formula, right? That is the formula. What does that mean? So Dr. Gottman is the Sigmund Freud of marital psychology. He has written 46 books, one of which is The Mathematics of Marriage, or by default, The Mathematics of Divorce. Mathematics of Marriage, by default, The Mathematics of Divorce. Prior to becoming a psychologist, because he taught us there was a science to happily ever after. Y'all hear that? There is a science to happily ever after. And if you've ever come into one of my sessions, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So there is a science. And if we tweak your formula, generally, we can increase the intensity of the happily and the duration of the ever after. So what he did is he watched thousands of hours of couples in conflict. Based on those formulas, those observations, he came up with 2 formulas. One for happy, stable couples he called marriage masters. The other for unhappy, unstable couples he called marriage disasters. Based on that, he could watch 5 minutes of your video and with 91% accuracy predict if you'll be together in 5 years. 15, it goes up to 97%. So he's an amazing guy, and he really taught us that, boy, if we could identify your formula and tweak it, we could increase the intensity of the happily and the duration of the ever after. I think that is absolutely amazing. And that's what this program is about. So let's look at the formula and let's start applying it to you. Okay, so I want you type in the browser. What is your formula? Is it 5 to 1? Is it 4 to 1? Is it 3 to 1, 2 to 1, 1 to 1, 1 to 5, 1 to 20? Start typing in your formulas, and I'm going to give you feedback on anything you might say. Try to be honest here. I know it could be painful, but what we are talking about is, what is your formula? And basically, when we get to formulas, 1 to 5, Tammy, that is the most honest answer. And I'm very glad you shared it with me. It should embolden a lot of us to do the same. 2 to 1, that's pretty good. So I'm going to keep going as you talk about what those formula means. 1 to 8, what those formulas mean is think of it as an emotional bank account, right? Are we making deposits or are we making withdrawals? So the question is, what side are we putting in terms of their emotional piggy bank? Now, you would think it's in terms of your emotional piggy bank, but we don't want you to worry about that. It's their emotional piggy bank that counts. I know y'all don't like the way that sounds. Remember yesterday I was saying most people come to me, they say fix them. As they mature, they say fix us. And when they're ready to be discharged, they said fix me. So we're going to start with the end in mind. If you want to fix you, you really have to start by saying, how do I make more emotional deposits? You could wait on them to make it, but it don't always work that way. So Lisa McCurkey, 2 to 5, 3 to 1. So a lot of us in the two to three. I didn't see any fives only because or fours because I think people are being honest. We do get that person, but ask yourself, what side am I making the most deposits in? Am I making more deposits or withdrawals? If you're making more deposits, type a big D in. If you're making more withdrawals, type a W in. Now, I know this will be a lot more exciting, so we're going to do it this way. What I want you to do is type in what's in their deposit and withdrawal. So we'll make them the small D's or the small W's. So if you think, okay, D's. So we think we're making more deposits and we think they're making more. So they will be the small. Withdrawals are deposits, a small letter. Okay. So we're making more deposits. Okay. So they're making more deposits. Okay. Anyone making any withdrawals? I don't see no capital W's because we don't see ourselves as making withdrawals. We're still here saying fix them. If you fix them, you fix our problem. And that's how people start. That's how people start. Hey, Miss Lima, how you doing? Okay. So we have to stop and recognize that happy couples invest emotionally different than unhappy couples. Because all of you with your capital D's, I bet you they don't have you as making more deposits and then making more withdrawals. I guarantee you they don't. Anyways, and we'll talk about that shortly. But it's something that we have to wrap our head around is that we need to understand what is our formula and we need to understand, boy, what role are we playing in our formula? Because we're going to talk about how to change your formula too. So, what does, now, it's interesting, right? What does your formula, what does your emotional activity level say about your future? This is a fascinating question. Let me tell you why. Because right now, what you're going to tell me is that you do more deposits, they do more withdrawals, and that's exactly what you tell your friends, and your friends co sign on it. I'm going to say you're probably a lot closer than you think. It takes two to deposit, it takes two to withdraw. It takes two to withdraw because, well, I ain't leaving no money in no account. You ain't putting it in. So I'm going to ask you the question. What does your emotional activity levels of withdrawals and deposit say about the future of your marriage? Type some stuff in the browser and I am going to respond. Okay, I'm going to respond. Trinity is unable to gain access. Are you unable to gain access to your bank account? Is that what you're saying? They're saying, NSF, we have shut this joint down. Charles is saying we don't have enough deposits. At least you said we, Charles. I give you that, brother. I give you that. Dim. What are some of the other comments saying? Stalemate. I ain't putting nothing in. You ain't putting nothing in. We both have separate accounts, right? And I'm gonna just take care of myself. And if you got any sense, you'll take care of yourself. Okay, real talk though. Can it survive if it is one sided? Karen Butler, not for long. Not for long. Not for long. So I just want us to recognize that, boy, we are playing a role in our own demise by thinking that all we have to do is think we're the solution and we're doing the right thing and they're not. Okay, I'm torn, withdrawn from the marriage, but I still desire, Tammy, I still desire to make it work. Tammy, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. As I said yesterday, most couples don't suffer from a lack of, go to the browser and type it in. Most couples don't suffer from a lack of blank. They suffer from a lack of blank. Let me see who the first person to get that right is. I had the wrong camera on, you guys. Sorry about that. At least on this one. We're getting better with deposits. So I think Mucho says yes. He's the first one to get it right. I want you guys to remember this. Derek got it right. Most couples don't suffer from a lack of will. They suffer from a lack of skill. Most couples do not suffer from a lack of will. They suffer from a lack of skill. So we may have the will to do it, but unless we know this formula, we don't even know where to marshal. We don't even know where to focus that will. And it is to get the skill. So, anyways, I will go back to my presentation. Give me a second here to switch over. Okay. So the next thing I really want you to look at is credit ratings. Okay. Financially, y'all may have great credit. You may have bad credit. You may have good credit or fair credit. But I want to know what our emotional credit is because think about it. I said 0.8 to 1. 0.8 to 1 means it's just a matter of time before we get an NSF check, before we get a non sufficient fund check. And we got those $35 fees, and they can add up pretty quickly. So if we are making more withdrawals than deposits, we got an overdrawn marriage. We don't have goodwill in our marriage. Y'all not going to like this. We don't have trust in our marriage. So what do I mean by that? So trust is simply this, right? Trust isn't, I think you're cheating, although that may happen down the line when people are unhappy. Or some people just do it anyways. Trust is, are you going to abandon me to deal with the pain I have by myself? Or are you going to identify it, meet me as a partner, as a spouse I said I do to, and we work through this together? If you don't trust your partner emotionally to identify your needs and meet them, which means you think your account is overdrawn, you don't have enough goodwill in your account to be effective as a marriage. I'm preaching to the choir? So that sounds bad. Maybe it is, but it's fixable. We change our ratio, we change that. So what would you rate? What would you rate? What would you rate your credit? What would you rate the credit of your marriage with 400 being the lowest? I think the way that works. Thank you, Tammy. With 400 being the lowest. You know, I'm going to follow up on what you said, Tammy. Most couples come to me think they got a communication problem. 60% do. They don't. They got a trust problem. Think about it. Most people come, I mean, I got a cash practice. You would be amazed at who my clientele is. And they don't have communication problems. They lead teams, they're teachers, they're mechanics, people that they work with. They do all kinds of stuff at the job. They're great communicators. They run their own businesses, they're salespeople, they are nurses. You name it. You name it. They talk to people well. They can't talk when their emotional needs clash because they can't hear each other because they focus on their needs and they don't focus on meeting their spouse's needs. Trust is a choice. Trust is a choice. So give me your credit scores. Lewis 450. I think Lewis might win the most honest man of the day, right? Vulnerability is the key of not being able to trust. If I can't be vulnerable to you, we have a problem. We have a problem. So, Lewis, you're the only one I think that's going to put their credit scored up there. Lewis has 450. I got any 800 scores in here? I got any 700? Erica, that's good. That's a good range, Erica. 600 means, boy, we could be better, but, we're okay. But we should be up there soaring with the Eagles, and we're not there yet. Okay, that's pretty good. JoJo, you might be the highest. You got a 700. Vanessa has a 650, 740. I'm going to let you guys see the screen here. So 820. Hold up, I didn't see that right. Who got 820 up in this camp? That is awesome. Derek, 820. That's pretty good, Derek. And Derek, you know what? I'll be honest with you. A lot of couples that are happy, they'll come to programs like this for a tune-up. Boy, anything I could pick up, anything I could do, anything I could learn. It is not uncommon. People that are happy will book sessions with me. Say, we're just doing preventive maintenance here. So that's great. JoJo has a 600, 480. So I think people have been pretty honest. I see where our scores are. Some of us, we could get the better interest rate. Some of us, boy, we're going to be like at 30-something% up in this camp. But like you do a credit repair in life, you could do a credit repair in your marriage. You could do a credit repair in your marriage. That's great, Natalie, with a 700. But even if you had a 700, anyone here got 700, they want to be 800. Money, Harvey, Crawford, we are happy. Like I said, people come in are happy all the time. People come into my practice, Doc, let's do a tune-up. I want to keep this thing going. And those couples do come a lot. They tend to come as much as unhappy couples because they're doing preventative maintenance. All right, so I'm looking at her scores. Hello, Ms. Tarver, how are you doing? Good to see you. So I'm going to go back over here. And we are going to continue on. Actually, I'm about 500. My 100 is more 650, but our values are different when it comes to the way we are. Okay. Maybe we could boost both our credit scores. Maybe we could boost them both. So anyways, we are going to get y'all some credit repair stuff, right? We're going to pass around some marriage credit repair programs. Anyways, I might name a program after that. So let's say we don't, though. And we'll talk about when we do next. So let's say you have bad credit, right? With your spouse, your emotional account is overdrawn. What happens next? So I want you to type in the browser, what happens when you have bad credit with your spouse? And while you're doing that, I am going to let some more people in the group because I just got some emails, some texts. So talk with each other, and I will be with you in about 2 seconds. Okay, I just let that group in. So let me see what you are saying to each other. U.S. Lewis disconnected. So these are some of the things that happen when you have credit scores that are low. It's like getting denied from a house, really. We pull away. That is it. We have a Cold War. We turn away from each other instead of towards each other. They stop accepting deposits. Okay, Mucho, you that's a heck of an answer. They stop accepting deposits. And that's when things get really, really dangerous. The biggest predictor of divorce is repair attempts, and I'll talk about that later in this program. They withdraw, frustration sets in, disillusionment, disconnection. They stop talking, or we stop talking. We don't talk to each other when our credit is bad. Erica Hamilton is on point. We have a code where we ain't even walking on eggshells no more, right? That was an upgrade. I'm not mad. I am checked the heck out of this camp. The account gets closed. You know, we got them checks, but them checks ain't no good if ain't no money in that account. I know y'all have had that happen before. I know I did in grad school. They're like, son, it's not, we're not cashing that. You grow apart, distant, and withdrawn. Tense communication. So, I am going to tell you what the psychological equivalent of that is. Negative sentiment override. Negative sentiment override. You have this stuff in your manual. I want you to go to your manuals as we're talking and kind of figure out how this reflects on you. I'll go back and I'll go to the pages as we get to the end here. But negative sentiment override is when keeping it real goes really bad. Because all we do is say negative stuff to each other. Negative stuff. We don't talk about the positive. I'll give you an example. Most couples, and this is anyone that's ever been in my session can vouch for this. I'll say, so, what brings you to see me today? And they'll inevitably start talking about their spouse. And if I don't stop them, most people can go 15 minutes. Some can go 30. Some could do the whole hour. So I'll let people go. I'll cap them at a couple of minutes. And then I'll say, well, what's working? Most people can't go 30 seconds. Most people can't go 30 seconds. That is true, right, Lisa? So, be honest. Are you more fluent in your marriage in negative sentiment override? We're going to talk about what that is. Where our sentiment is basically negative and we keeping it real? Or are we more effective at positive sentiment override? Because we're going to talk about those two things in a moment. Be honest, with some of those scores, we probably got both. We probably got negative, we probably got positive, we got some neutral. But got to change it if you want things to get better. So, positive, that's good. That was consistent with your score, Renee. That was very consistent with your score. See that big smile on his face? Negative, that's honest. You're keeping it real in a good way, Erica. Hey, can I tell you, Erica is the reason I have a PhD today. I was at Ohio State, and she was one of my research assistants and got it done. It's good to see you. Tell your hubby I said hi. So, that is negative sentiment override. So, people are being real. I like that. That's just where we're at. It's where we start. It is where we start, and we won't stay here, but it's just where we start. Hi, Narada. You laughing at that one, Erica? She got me through, y'all. She was like, "Oh my God, I got me an alpha female up in this joint. Got me through." Anyway, so negative sentiment override. So let's talk about negative sentiment override. I am going to give you 30 seconds to read through this, and then I'm going to come back and really talk about what it is. But I want you to read negative sentiment override. Crystal says negative. Tammy, I'm more effective at positive, but here lately I've been participating in the negative. Anthony Carter, Butler. What is alternate current? Is you talking about DC AC? Direct current, alternate current? Help us understand what that is. So I want you guys to finish up. I'm going to give you like 30 seconds to a minute to read it, and I'm going to go see if anyone else is trying to get in the group. Okay, we are coming back here, and let me see what you all had to say. Your husband, sir. I got to say hi. Hold up, yeah. I got to give Erica's husband a special shout out. Sir, it is good to meet you. Erica is my homegirl. We are crew. We are crew. And I'm just excited that you were able to join me tonight. I swear to God, she is like I say a niece to me. Very, very good sister. Anyways, happy to see you're so happy. So, negative sentiment override. What is it, right? Negative sentiment override is when our first automatic response is cynical or hostility, mistrust, which I said was emotional abandonment. Repair attempts don't work. That is the biggest predictor of divorce. When repair attempts don't work, we got big problems and we need to have some hard conversations. 50% of the time, this is serious, you guys, listen to this. Positive or neutral events are interpreted negatively. How did they do that? Dr. Gottman in his Love Labs had this one-way mirror. He has these apartments set up, and they literally watch couples. They watch couples all the time. Yeah, they've got their private room and area, but they watch them. And what they found is that 50% of the time, a positive or a neutral event is interpreted negatively. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to put you out there. Have you ever done something positive for your spouse and it turned out negative? I had a couple last week. They both were doing the right thing. They both were doing the right thing for each other. And somehow it came out negative. It came out negative. You guys can relate to that, right? Perception, but it's really mistrust. So, what do I mean by that? So, this couple, okay, I'm gonna let you guys see each other comments because these comments are off the chart. Okay, so you can see everybody's comments. You can see everybody talking about this whole negative sentiment override. So, what does it mean when positive things become interpreted negatively? So, that's when there's a repair attempt. So, I had two couples, two spouses, and they had birthdays on the same day. Birthdays on the same day. One had gotten one gift, the other had gotten a different gift. They fought about the gifts. They fought about the gifts, how you weren't this, you weren't that. But when we really talked about the gifts, both of them had mentioned it in conversation several times. And they both liked the gifts. They both liked the gifts the other person had gotten them. But there was a challenge with how the gift was wrapped. There was a challenge with, well, you got me that gift, but what I really wanted was this. Hey, we couldn't afford that. You got three of those in your closet. I wanted to get you something special. Anyway, so when we get to the point that we do good and it still goes bad, that means that we are at negative sentiment override. And I'm going to go back to that slide. We become hostile with each other. We don't trust them. We don't give them the benefit of the doubt. It's like you remember when Obama was in office and he would say to Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, what part of yeah don't you agree with? That's who we become with each other. I've had spouses say, yes, I'll give you everything you want. Another person just didn't hear it. Now be honest. Do you two ever not hear each other? Have you ever told your spouse, yeah, I'll give you what you want, and it wasn't enough? They didn't hear you. Let me tell you why. Lisa, you took the words out of my mouth. I'm going to come back and use those, the benefit of the doubt. When we are at 110 beats a minute or higher, the blood goes to the reptile brain. We are fight or flight. We are fight or flight. Under that, and it depends on fitness level, it goes to the executive functioning where we can interpret threat differently. When we are at reptile brain, everything's a threat. No matter what they say, it is a threat. When it goes here, we can discriminate that. They're walking towards me. That's not a knife. That's not a steak knife. That's not a gun in the hand. That's their phone. Actually, they got a smile on their face. So when we're so worked up, we're not present no more. We can't hear what they're saying or see what they're really doing. Ask you guys a question. How many times have you said something to your spouse and they just missed it? I should get a lot of I should get a lot. So I'm gonna say M. I want you to type in a big M if they missed you and a small M if you've missed what they've said. Let's see what the board says here. We're gonna switch. I should see some M's. Lisa says all the time. Okay, okay. Danica, Denisha, okay. M. They missing y'all. I don't see too many small. Okay, Lewis, my man. Okay. Jennifer says both. Denisha, okay. Larry, okay. Jojo, Anthony. Yeah, we're missing each other because when we are worked up, we can't hear much. That's why when couples come in the room, one of the first things I try to do is de escalate them. I try to de escalate them. I try to de escalate them, and you have to de escalate each other. Each other. So, go back here. We are going to go on with our presentation. We are wrapping up at negative sentiment override, which is NSO, increased conflicts. So let me tell you what really happens with NSO, right? How many of you saw Why Did I Marry You? If you saw Why Did I Marry You, type in YMU. Why Did I Marry You? Janet Jackson, Tyler Perry in this movie. And they talk about the 80-20 rule. They talk about the 80-20 rule. I talk about the 80-20 rule, but I talk about it differently. I talk about it from the standpoint, that's it. YMU, baby. Why did I marry you? So, think about it. Meet somebody, all the people in the universe, right? Narrow it down to them, they narrow it down to you. That takes a lot. That takes a lot. Usually you love 80% of the person off the break, isolated to them. Think about all the people you left. Hey Keisha, what's up with my girl Keisha? How you doing? How are the T's doing? Tatiana, all their daughters are named T. They are stunning. They're like future supermodels, but I digress, right? Because they're smart too. Sweetest girls ever. Anyways, and Juan, he need to be on too. I hope he is. Anyways, so what happens simply is this. With the 80-20 rule is we love 80% or we would not have married them. Still love 80%, even if we're fighting. Think about it. 50, 60%, I ain't even getting on the elevator with you, right? And we're on the 17th floor. I'm going to take the stairs because I don't want to ride with you. So 80% we love, 20% toothpick in the eye drives us crazy. 5, 10, 20% we absolutely dislike. The problem is when we have negative sentiment override, it's the 80-20 rule turned upside down. We think about that 20%, 80% of the time. Oh, preacher, you preaching. I'm preaching tonight, man. I didn't hit a sore spot. When we think about that 20%, 80% of the time, we have negative sentiment override towards them. We ain't happy to be with them. You are the bane of my existence. How many of you have done that? If so, I want you to type 20% in the browser. And I should see like a lot of 20s when I come back here. I should see nothing but 20s. How many of you think about that 20%, 80% of the time? Church ain't with me no more. Okay, Keisha. Yeah, we just do. We do. Paulette, Joy, Charles, LaShonda. We think about that 20%, 80% of the time. 80% of the time. And it allows us to dehumanize them. It allows us to do all these things. They're just that. But really, we still love them. Because that 80% that we married them for is still true. LaDon, Renee, Ina, I don't know if it's Ina or Ina. Lisa Davis. Lisa, yeah. We talk about the worst most of the time. Like I said, most people can't even spend more than 30 seconds saying something positive. But boy, tell me what you don't like, man. I can do another dissertation on that. I hope you'll help me with that one too, Erica. But I ain't writing that dissertation. I'm going to write how we turn it around. That's a dissertation I'm writing. Anyway, so that's what happened. So it's okay. We all do it. It's not just you. So, anyways, we are going to go now to the 80-20 rule. And I want you to be aware of the fact that if you are living in that 80-20, better yet, that 20-80 space, you're doing your spouse a disservice. But you're doing you a disservice because you're thinking you have a marriage you really don't have. You really don't have. You have a partner over there thinking the same thing. Mathematically, it ain't possible. Both of y'all are 20s. Just ain't possible. So there is hope. We got to change our narrative. We got to change the way we think. Like they say, if you change the way you see things, the things you see will change. I want some of y'all to type that in the browser because I want this to be a big takeaway for us. If we change the way we see things, the things we see will change. Whoop, whoop. Can I get a witness on that one? Come on, y'all. That's some seriously deep stuff. If you change the way you see your spouse, the things you see will change. If you change the way you see your spouse, the things you see will change. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Marie, Anisha, two couple spouses and a couple come into my office. They fight. I used this example last night. They fight. One wants to save 20%. The other, I got some Reverend Preacher up in me, Trinity Butts. You wrote it out. Jennifer, I work hard to think change. Oh, let me go back. What you say, Jennifer? I work hard to think change, to see the positive. Yes, you do. You're a very positive person. Okay. Paulette, Natalie, Swanice, Erica. Yeah, write it out. That's good. I want you to make that, like, put that on a screensaver or something. You know what I'm saying? Change the way you see things. The things you see will change. Give an example. So, couple comes in. I talked about this couple yesterday. They're fighting. They're ready to get each other. One's calling the other cheap. One's calling the other one a spendthrift. I know you all have had some love and money fights in your life. So you could type love and money in that browser, right? Love and money fights huge. So one wants to save 20%, one wants to save 10. Sounds like there's no meeting in the middle. They're both dogmatic about it. So thank you for typing that in, Keisha, Muslima, Lisa. They come into my office, they're ready to part ways. Can't live with this person no more. So I say, what's the problem? She's cheap. What's the problem? He wants to blow all the money. So I say, ma'am, why do you want to save 20%? She says, honey, if you recall, the last 10 years of my parents' life, they had to come and live with us because they didn't save, they didn't invest. I had to send myself through college. I'm still paying my student loans. I want to never be a burden to our kids. I don't want them to have student loan debt. Okay. And why is that? Well, it almost ruined our marriage when they came to live with us. I mean, it was horrible, man. I mean, we were their retirement package. It really robbed us of the first like 10 years of our marriage. It was a nightmare. I don't want to do that. That is why. Man, you want to save 10%. Why is that? My parents never made it to coming to live with us. They got a divorce. They never invested in their marriage. Not once. They didn't take a course. They didn't do a book. Nothing. And they didn't make it. They didn't love us enough to invest. And so they got a divorce. It was horrible. They got remarried. That didn't work. It was horrible. Get it? they're both trying to do something to save their marriage. Like, I want to spend time with you. I don't want all our money in the bank. Let's spend some of it and leave the kids left, but enjoy our lives, right? Let's take trips. Let's have fun. Let's be a happy couple. So I say, look, both trying to do something right for the marriage. Yeah, I can see where they are. I couldn't before. Let's meet in the middle. Boom. We cut a deal. We cut a deal. Why do you struggle to cut a deal, especially when your emotional needs clash? Because you got to give up something that's important to you. That's why you have to ask, what's their why? What's their why? Once I get to your why, you don't have to fight me no more. You don't have to fight each other no more. There's no need to be defensive. Couples come to me and they say, we talk to you, Doc, and everything, we hear each other, we cut deals. We go back home or we get off the call because we're in COVID, ready to kill each other again. I think they're just lying when they come to see you and they're faking good. I said, I don't really think so. What I think happens, what I know happens, we talked about trust. I trust both people are trying to fix it. I just ask enough whys to get there. If you ask your spouse 3 times what their whys, I guarantee you'll be amazed at how it changes your relationship. 3 open-ended questions. You have something you disagree with, ask them why. All right, go to the browser and type in 3 whys. So now I want you to do something different. On an issue that's important to you that they don't understand, type in your why. Type your why in the browser. Type in your why. Type in why that's so important to you. Why during COVID you haven't gone out and they want to go out and they're like, look, I'm not a non vaxxer, but I want to live life. What if she never answers? What does that mean? Tell me more about that, Manny. Renee says, why? That's really a puzzle one. Got to take a moment and think. What's your why? And then what's their why? We got to get to their why. We got to get to their why. Why don't we have more time together? Ask them. So I'm going to go with that, Vanessa. Sometimes people don't spend time together because they have a workaholic spouse. Sometimes people don't spend time together because they have a spouse who's avoidant and doesn't want to deal with life. Sometimes they don't spend time together because it's not rewarding. It's not enjoyable. You only do what you want to do. Go play golf. I want us to go do X, Y, and Z. You want to watch the Atlanta Housewives. You just want to watch the game. So sometimes instead of being a reward, it's a punishment. And we just got to be honest. Why do you want to talk with me? Well, you talked too long. I talked about processors, non processors, and meta processors last night. Well, you don't talk enough. Well, when I talk, you interrupt me. You don't really listen to me. You don't acknowledge nothing I say. You don't validate my feelings. So if we're not spending time or talking, let's see it from a cause and effect relationship. So I'm going to read some comments here. Let me go back down to this one. Okay. 101 time spent because we need too much time working and doing for others. That is something to watch. Charity starts at home. I feel connected when we talk, not just about surface items. And you may be a meta processor. I talked about that, Derek, which is a great thing. And boy, they have to stop and figure out your why. Your why is because you want us to be connected. You want us to get each other's feelings and understand them. Why don't you see the positive sides of things? That's a great, great question, Sunis. Hey, that's something that boy we have to ask. So when someone says, "Why don't people see the positive sides of things?" I would ask, when did you first learn that? When did you first learn that? No, no, no. One of the things they train us is when someone says something, it's like those old black and white images where you see the opposite. Someone comes in and talk about paranoia to me. I don't ask them why they're paranoid. I don't try and talk them down. I say, when were you first betrayed? Uh, Hearing family stories. That is cool. I enjoy hearing family stories. Okay. So we're going to go back here and start to kind of wrap up our presentation. I am there. That means I need to go here. Okay. I don't trust. Okay. Husband, I don't trust my husband around me and his family. Trust issue. Why can't we see their intentions? You know what the weird thing is? We don't have to. If we ask them, most people tell you. We just got to believe what they say. Most people will tell you. So you have to ask yourself, do you have positive, negative, or neutral sentiment? Very seldom are we neutral towards your spouse. And do you want to continue that way? And if so, what does that say about your marriage? What is positive sentiment override? So it is the opposite of negative sentiment override. Invest in time. That is so important. That is so important. Negative interactions are not seen as positive. Negative interactions are not seen as particularly negative, or at least they are not taken personally. Great example. We talked about meta processors last night. People who like to talk about their feelings and the feelings about their feelings. Processors will talk about their feelings but once. Non-processors won't talk about them. It is not negative. It is just how we are wired. Some people are wired to let me talk about it, make sure everyone's on board. Let's do what we got to do. Let's be democratic. Some people are wired, no, I got it. I'm good. I'm close enough. Let me take action. Some are, hey, I just got to take action by myself. There are situations where all of those are winners and they are not personal. The partners give each other the benefit of the doubt. The benefit of the doubt. So when I talk to the couples about how they wanted to invest 10 or 20%, the benefit of the doubt is like, you're probably doing something to try and make our marriage stronger. Let me see what it is. Yeah, babe. What I'm trying to do is I am trying to make sure we enjoy the ride together. I'm trying to make sure when we get to the final destination of retirement, we have enough to live happily ever after. Both trying to do the same thing. That's the benefit of the doubt. And even if one partner is conveying negativity in content or tone, the other does not personalize, react to it, match it, or store it away for a rainy day. Let me say that again. Even if one partner is conveying negativity in content or tone, the other doesn't personalize it, react to it, match it, or store it away. What's me? So if you come to me or I come to you in a negative way and I match that, we're going to elevate each other. Y'all ever elevated each other? Tell the truth. Have you ever noticed that, boy, you push me, I push you, we push each other. Next thing you know, we're at a 10. Has anyone ever done that? You took the issues right from my keyboard. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's just not personal. Jennifer is so PSO. Thank you. We do it all the time, and sometimes we have to de escalate the person. We have to de escalate the person. We have to bring them down. We have to bring them down instead of taking it personal. We don't know what it is. So I'm going to wrap up here by giving you 3 quick strategies to increase. That's me. I'm the queen of matching energy, and it's not good. It becomes personal when the person says personal thing. We're going to wrap up here. Maybe we'll be here for a few more minutes. But, anyways, I'm going to give you 3 strategies to increase positive sentiment override or to change your magic formula. One is realize this. So the ratio is 5-1. A lot of times, what people will do is they'll do this. They'll say, let me do 25 good things, and now we're at 5-1. It's great. It sounds good. A, they're not going to believe you change that much that quick. B, it's hard to maintain. C, there's a better way to do it. And the better way to do it is just stop the negative events. Stop making the withdrawals. Much more effective and easy to sustain. The next, and that's called addition by subtraction, where we just stop doing the negative things and we increase our ratio that way. Finally, to maximize it, try meeting their needs in their love language. I'll talk about that later on. But when we start to say, what's your love language? Let me commit to doing 3 things in a week and becoming fluent in it. So, anyways, those are some ways. So, I am going to go back to the homework. The first thing I'm going to say before I go there is divorce rates drop as much as 30% with an intervention like this. But let me go back to homework for tonight, and I'm really going to take a few responses. If you go to your books, your workbooks. Okay, day 2 homework. I pressed too many, y'all. Bear with me. So, 2 things while I'm getting this. Last night, I made a misstatement. I am not a Gottman certified trainer. That is a whole different year of certification that I did not get, but I've taken his level 1, 2, and 3 courses. I was listening to myself and I said, oh, you just said something that ain't true. So let me strike that from the records. But I've worked with his programs for almost a decade now. So we are going to go into the homework and we are going to look at day 2 homework. So I want you to go to page 11 and I want you to look at the magic formula and then write your formula, have your spouse write their formula, and compare them. And I want you to really compare them and say, boy, do we see this that differently? And if so, no villain, no hero. We're just 2 people who see it differently. Let's just figure out how do we get on the same page and put together a strategy for changing them. I want you to honestly, I want you to go to page 12 and really look at what side do you spend most of your time on? What side of the ledger? Making deposits or withdrawals? You notice how when we did ours, we said that we had all these big D's and they had all these small W's. Compare what you both say. That will be a shocker. That will be a shocker and something important to discuss. I want you to ask, now that you've figured out your credit score, how does your credit score impact your marriage? How does your credit score impact your marriage? And finally, which perspective best reflects your marriage? NSO or PSO? NSO or PSO? Anyways, I am open to entertain any observations, comments, or questions. Anyone that's ever been in my practice will tell you I always end with 15 seconds of fame, which is where you tell me what stood out for you in our conversation tonight. What stood out for you in our conversation tonight? Type it in the browser. Okay, I thought we were typing in the browser. I got a few people still left, and we got some last of the Mohicans here. If not, that's fine. But what stood out for you in our conversation tonight? And I'm going to end with my favorite saying in the world about marriages. Okay, withdrawal deposit says money. And that is, it's never too late to live your happily ever after. I saw addition by subtraction. Addition by subtraction. I saw most couples don't suffer from a lack of will but skill. NSO PSO actually has a title. They do. They have a name for these things. Addition by subtraction. That was Lewis. NSO Crystal. NSO is real and it is a marriage killer. Uh, Emotional credit score, John. Yep, I want us all to do that. It is important because we can do some credit repair. The ratio and credit thing says Cynthia. Swanice, if you change the way you see things. Erica, if you change the way you see things. We changed. That one really resonated. Derek said the same thing. Denisha, PSO, 80-20 rule. Charles, the writer, 80-20. Vanessa, what stood out for me is the why question. That is a powerful question. Crystal, if we change the way we see things. Lisa, understanding that NSO, PSO, we got to change it from NSO to PSO or we have some trouble. Charles, the why question. Derek Roberts, and when we get to the 110 beats per minute, PSO, Jennifer. McGuire, if we change the way we see things. Janetta, if we change the way we see things. PSO, Trenton. Vanessa, that is something I will incorporate in my marriage. So I thank you all for coming here tonight. Credit score is macho. Lisa, the 80-20 or 20-80, which is like the reverse. The change statement tonight was really good. I'm glad you liked it, Ina. So we are going to be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. If you logged into my group, that is the best way that I could see you. Or if you log in YouTube, the private group, it won't. But if you log in on my page, it is better. Tonight, we talked about closing the gap. And now we see how, if we want our needs met, boy, let's figure out how to meet theirs. I am Dr. Shane. I will say good night, but not, we're really gone because we will be back tomorrow in the challenge towards the end of the week. And this is really Anthony with the emotional bank account making me realize that I'm thinking about putting something together special for you. So you don't want to miss that. And I just thank you all for joining me. Investing in your marriage is very, very, very key. You're welcome, Lisa. Have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow, same channel. African American Marriage Counseling. Good night. Thank you, Jennifer.